What's up my people, it's your boy DZG Space. I'm back with another tutorial. So today we are going to talk about how you can clean it your background, how you can with Photoshop, of course. That's been our editing tools, man. So that's why I'm so excited to just teach you these techniques that will just take you less than 5 minutes to work on your portrait. I hope you enjoyed this one. But hey, before you go on this one, I would want you to subscribe, press the like button. You can also leave a comment, please. I would really appreciate it. See you, mate. Cheers. All right. Before before we begin with our tutorial, uh, I would want you to load in your image. I would want you to put in your image that we're gonna work on. I would want you to open something like this, where you really are able to work easily without having to do much. Here I have this image. I really love the image because it gives me yeah, it just gives me the look of when I just retouch. It's a white background. um, as you can see, it's a little bit complicated, but we want it to look like this at the end of the tutorial. Okay, so firstly open the image. Yeah, just make sure you get a little bit of a fast computer just for your work to be much easier and not to stress you. Have a better RAM because these images have so much bigger size, especially when you have to work with a raw image. All right, so here is our image. What we have to do, let me say, you can just take this tool called polygonal laser tool. After taking this one, make sure you duplicate your layer. Make sure you are working on a whole different layer. And then you just draw this within the white area. Make sure you leave the space between the objects that are not wanted, those edges that are not wanted, and the white background. You just select it out like this. Then you have that selection. Make sure you invest the selection because what you want to get rid of is the other things that you do not need in your image. Okay, after doing this one, you just have to make sure that you take your layer into a non-smart object so that you are able to work on it. So after the selection, what you have to do is just that you need to press shift backspace, then the content aware will pop up. Then you just say okay. After saying okay, you can see everything that you did not want is now removed. This is now the advantage of Photoshop. I don't think you can get those options that much into other programs like I've seen people really shout out to people that are doing their retouches with Lightroom. I'm just really a Photoshop person because I feel like you have more options with Photoshop than Lightroom. With Photoshop, you can work with your pixels very well. You just need to learn how to use every tool. And I'm sure by following this channel, you're gonna learn more about these stuffs. Okay, so now you have all the unwanted edges removed, but still, if you zoom out, you will see that there's still a few more things that you need to remove. There's still a lot of stuff that you need to remove. How are we gonna do this? We can use this option by using the frequency separation. Frequency separation is the way of separating the high frequency and the low frequency. I'm gonna show you how you do this one. So you duplicate the layer that you have worked on, you duplicate it into two, then you just name each layer. The first layer, we're gonna name it, the first layer, we're gonna name it low frequency, LF. Then the toughest layer, you're gonna name it high frequency, and you just leave it like that. So what we are going to do now is to hide the high frequency, and then we have only low frequency showing at the top. What you need to do is just to go to filter, blur, Gaussian blur, and then I would want you to leave your blur for as long as the details, the sharpest details of the portrait are gone. Like that, I would want to leave mine at 2.4. Then you say okay. Okay, then you unhide your high frequency layer, then you go to image option at the right top right corner, then you go for apply image, then this pops up. Make sure your layer option is checked, then you leave it on low frequency. The blending must be subtract. Make sure your scale is left at 2, your offset is 128, opacity must be 100, of course. And then from there, you come to the blending options of the layers. Make sure your high frequency layer is still selected. Then you're just gonna leave it on linear light. After doing that, then you can select the subject, select your subject, just zoom out, then you select your subject. Okay, when your subject is selected, then you can just inverse your selection. Okay, for me, I love to leave my selection on hidden mode by pressing Ctrl and H. Then from there, your selection won't be visible anymore. Okay, your selection is still running. Your selection is still running here. You just need to know that when you press Ctrl and H, your selection will be hidden, but it's still running. It's only gonna, whenever you are working on that layer, it's only gonna affect the places that are not selected. You get me? Okay. From there, you take your mixer brush tool. I would want to leave all the options in the mixer brush tool on the top. You have to leave them on 100, just for the brush to be more stronger. You select the low frequency because that's where we are going to work on. Then you start painting. You increase your brush into the way you want it. Then you start brushing. And make sure at the top here, make sure your symbol is not touching all the layers. Make sure the symbol all layers is unchecked, okay? So that it won't, what you are brushing, it won't take pixels from all the layers, from the high frequency and the low frequency at the same time. Make sure it's only sampling the low frequency. And this is by what? By unchecking symbol all layers so that you can only work on what you are working on, which is low frequency. Okay, then you start brushing, start mixing. Make sure your brush is kind enough. You're not going too far. You're only mixing at the nearest areas. Okay, mixing your pixels very well. Okay, now that you are done mixing your pixels, now that you are done blending in all the colors on the background, all the unnecessary colors on the background, when you zoom in, you can still see the spots on the high frequency. And these small spots and lines, you can only remove them with what? You can only remove them with spot removals. So if you go onto the icons here, if you take, if you go to remove tool, you can go to high frequency layer, and then you start removing these unwanted stuffs. And also here, just the same as, yeah, just the same as mixer brush tool, when you are on this tool, you also need to make sure that all your layers are not sampled. Make sure that you have unchecked the symbol all layers. Okay, then you just use your spot removal tool. Use your removal tool very well so that you will have those things disappearing from your high frequency layer. Okay, just pay attention to all details. If you cannot see very well, then I would recommend you to just zoom in for you to see the details clearly. So this is, for me, this is how far I can zoom. Okay, here we go. You need to really take your time when you are dealing with these things so that your portrait can be perfect. The more you spend time onto your artwork, the perfect it's likely to be. Don't be in hurry when you are editing most of the times, because your things are not really gonna be as you like at the final stage. Make sure you spend much time on your picture so that it can be perfect for your likes. Okay. Okay. All right, here we go. We came to the end of our tutorial. This is just how you clean your background into less than 5 minutes. So I hope you really enjoyed this, and I see you on the next tutorial. Cheers.